here we are. These people are about to enact for you the story of Antigone. That thin little creature sitting there all by herself, staring straight ahead, seeing nothing, is Antigone. She is thinking. She is thinking that the instant I finish telling you who's who and what's what in this play, she will one part you can play, and she's going to have to play hers right through to the end. From the moment the curtain went up, she began to feel that inhuman forces were whirling her out of this world, snatching her away from her sister, Ismene, whom you see smiling and chatting with that young man there, taking her away from all of us who sit or stand here, not in the least upset ourselves, for we are not doomed to die tonight. The young man talking to Ismene, to the beautiful Ismene, is Haemon. He is the king's son, Creon's son. Antigone and he are engaged to be married. You wouldn't have thought that she was his type. He likes sports, competition, women. Now look at Ismene again. I'm sure you'll agree that she's more beautiful than Antigone. She's the kind of girl that you'd think he'd go for. Well, there was a ball one night. Ismene wore a brand new evening dress. She was radiant. Haemon danced every dance with her. And yet that same night, before the ball was over, he went in search of Antigone, found her, sitting there just like that, with her arms clasped around her knees, and asked her to marry him. We still don't know how it happened. It didn't seem to surprise Antigone in the least. She merely looked up at him out of those solemn eyes of hers, smiled sadly, and said, yes. And so we have Haemon expecting to marry Antigone. He won't, of course. He didn't know when he asked her that the earth wasn't meant to hold a husband for Antigone, and that all this princely distinction could do for him was to earn him the right to die sooner than he might otherwise have done. This powerfully built man, lost in thought, is Creon, the king. His face is lined, he is tired. He practices the difficult art of being a leader of men. When he was younger, when Oedipus was the king, and Creon was no more than the king's brother-in-law, he was different. He loved music. He bought rare manuscripts. He was a kind of art painter. He would while away whole afternoons in the city of Thebes, rummaging among the antique shops. But then Oedipus died, and Oedipus's sons died, and Creon had to roll up his sleeves and take over the kingdom. Now and then when he goes to bed, weary with the day's work, he wonders whether this business of being a leader of men is worth all the trouble. But then he wakes up, the problems are there to be solved, and like a conscientious workman, he merely does his job. Creon has a wife, a queen. Her name is Eurydice. She will continue with her knitting off stage all through the play, till the time comes for her to go to her room and die. She's a good woman, a worthy, a loving soul, but she is of no help to her husband. Creon has to face the music alone. Alone with his page, who is too young to be of any help anyway. The others, well, let's see. That is the nurse who brought up the two girls. And that man, that young man leaning against the wall, he is the messenger. He has a premonition of catastrophe. That is what he is brooding over. And then there are the guards. One smells of garlic, another of beer, but they're not a bad lot. They have wives they are afraid of, and children who are afraid of them, and they are bothered by the little day-to-day worries that beset us all. At the same time, they are policemen. eternally innocent no matter what crimes are committed, eternally indifferent, for nothing that matters here can matter to them. They are quite prepared to arrest anybody at all, including Creon himself, should the order be given by a new leader. That's the lot. Now, for the play. Oedipus, who was the father of the two girls, Antigone and Ismene, had also two sons, Eteocles and Polynices. After Oedipus died, it was agreed that the two sons should share his throne, each to reign over Thebes in alternate years. But when Eteocles the elder had reigned a full year, and time had come for him to step down, he refused to yield up the throne to his younger brother Polynices. Polynices brought up allies, 6 foreign princes, and in the course of the war, he and his allies were defeated, each in front of one of the 7 gates of the city. The two brothers fought, and they killed one another in single combat right outside the city walls. Now Creon is king. Creon has issued a solemn edict that Eteocles, with whom he had sided, is to be buried with pomp and honors, while Polynices is to be left to rot. The vultures and the dogs are to bloat themselves on his carcass. No one is to go into mourning for him. No gravestone is to be set up in his memory. And above all, anybody who attempts to give him religious burial will himself be put to death.
Where have you been?
Nowhere. It was beautiful. The whole world was grey when I went out. And now, you wouldn't recognize it. It's like a postcard, all pink and green and yellow. You'd have to get up earlier, nurse, if you want to see a world without colour.
It was still pitch black when I got up. I went to your room, for I thought you might have flung off your blanket in the night. You weren't there.
The garden was lovely. It was still asleep. Have you ever thought of how lovely a garden is when it is not yet thinking of men?
You hadn't slept in your bed. I couldn't find you. I went to the back door. You'd left it open.
The fields were wet. They were waiting for something to happen. The whole world was breathless, waiting. I can't tell you what a roaring noise I seemed to make alone on the road. It bothered me that whatever was waiting wasn't waiting for me. I took off my sandals and slipped into a field.
You do well to wash your feet before you go back to bed, miss.
I'm not going back to bed.
Don't be a fool. You get some sleep. And me getting up to see if she hasn't flung off her blanket. And I find her bed cold and nobody in it.
Do you think that if a person got up every morning like this, it would be just as thrilling every morning to be the first girl out the doors?
Morning? It was night. It still is. And now, my girl, you stop trying to squirm out of this and tell me what you were up to. Where have you been?
That's true. It was still night. There wasn't a soul out of doors but me who thought it was morning. Don't you think it's marvelous to be the first person who is aware that it is morning?
Oh, my little flippity gibbet. Just can't imagine what I'm talking about, can she? Go on with you. I know that game. Where have you been, wicked girl?
No, not wicked.
Went out to meet someone, didn't you? Do you know I think you can?
Yes, I went out to meet someone.
A lover?
Yes, nurse, yes. The poor dear. I had a lover.
Oh, that's very nice now, isn't it? Such goings on. You, the daughter of the king, running out to meet lovers. And we work our fingers to the bone for you. We slave to bring you up like young ladies. You're all of you. Even you, who never used to stop to drink in front of a looking glass, or smear your mouth with rouge, or dingle and dandle to make the boys ogle you and you ogle back. How many times I've said to myself, now that one now, I wish you were a little more always wearing the same dress, her hair tumbling round her face. One thing sure, I said to myself, none of the boys are going to look at her while Ismene is about. All curled and cute and tidy and trim. I'll have this one on my hands for the rest of my life. And now you see, just like your sister after all. Only worse, a hypocrite. Who is the lad? Some little scamp, eh? Somebody you can't bring home and show to your family and say, this is him and I mean to marry him and no other. That's how it is it? Answer me.
Yes, nurse, that's how it is.
Yes, says she. God save us. I took her when she wasn't that high. I promised her poor mother I'd make a lady of her. And look at her. But don't you go thinking this is the end of this, my young one. I'm only your nurse, and you can play deaf and dumb with me, I don't count. But your Uncle Creon is going to hear the last of this. That I promise you.
Yes, Creon will hear of this.
And we'll hear what he has to say when he finds out you go wandering alone at night. Not to mention he now. The girl's engaged, going to be married. Going to be married. And she hops out of bed at 4 in the morning to meet someone else in a field. Do you know what I ought to do to you? Take you over mining the way I used to when you were a little girl?
Please, Nanny, I want to be alone now.
And if you so much as speak of it, she says she wants to be alone.
Nanny, you shouldn't scold, dear. This isn't a day when you should be losing your temper.
Not scold, indeed. Along with the rest of it, I'm to like it. Oh, didn't I promise your mother? What would she say if she was here? Old stupid. That's what she called me. Old stupid. Not to know how to keep my little girl pure. Spend your life making them behave, watching over them like a mother hen, running after them with mufflers and sweaters to keep them warm, and eggnogs to make them strong. And then at 4 in the morning, you who always complained you could never sleep a wink, snoring in your bed and letting them slip out into the bushes. That's what she'd say, your mother. And I'd stand there, dying of shame, if I wasn't dead already. But all I could do would be not dare look her in the face. And that's true, I'd say. That's all true, Your Majesty.
Oh, Nanny, dear. Oh, dear Nanny, don't cry. You will be able to look Mama in the face when it's your time to see her. And she'll say, good morning, Nanny. Thank you for my little Antigone. You did look after her so well. She knows why I went out this morning.
Not to meet a lover?
No, not to meet a lover.
You're a queer way of teasing me, I must say. Do you know when she's teasing me? I must be getting awfully old, that's what it is. Oh, what if you loved me? You'd tell me the truth. You'd tell me where you had been when I went in to tuck you. Wouldn't you?
Please, Nanny. Please don't cry anymore. There, my sweet red apple. Do you remember how I used to rub your cheeks to make them shine? My dear wrinkled red apple. I didn't do anything tonight that was worth sending tears down the little gullies of your dear face. I am pure, and I swear that I have no other lover than him. If you like, I'll swear that I shall never have any other lover than him. Save your tears, Nanny. Save them, Nanny, dear. You may still need them. When you cry like that, I become a little girl again, and I mustn't be a little girl today.
Antigone, what are you doing up at this hour? I've just been to your room.
Got 2 of you now. You're both mad to be up before the kitchen fire has been started. Do you like running around without a mouthful of breakfast? Do you think it is decent for the daughters of a king? And look at you, with nothing on and the sun not up. I'll have you both on my hands with the cold before I know it.
Nanny, dear, go away now. It's not chilly, really. Summer's here. Go and make us some coffee. Please, Nanny, I'd love some coffee. It would do me so much good.
Oh, my poor baby. Her head swimming, what with nothing in her stomach, and me standing here like an idiot when I should be getting her something hot to drink.
Aren't you well?
Of course I am. Just a little tired. I got to work.
I couldn't sleep either.
Ismene, you ought not to go without your beauty sleep.
Don't make fun of me.
I'm not, Ismene, truly. particular morning, seeing how beautiful you are makes everything easier for me. Wasn't I a miserable little beast when we were small? I used to fling mud at you and put worms down your neck. I remember tying you to a tree and cutting off your hair. Your beautiful hair. How easy it must be. Never to be unreasonable with all that smooth silken hair so beautifully set round your head.
Why do you insist upon talking about other things?
I'm not talking about other things.
Antigone, I've thought about it a lot.
Have you?
I thought about it all night long, Antigone. You're mad.
Am I?
We cannot do it.
Why not?
Creon will have us put to death.
Of course he will. That's what he's here for. He will do what he has to do, and we will do what we have to do. He is bound to put us to death. We are bound to go out and bury our brother. That's the way it is. What do you think we can do to change it?
I don't want to die.
I prefer not to die myself.
Listen to me, Antigone. I thought about it all night long. I'm older than you are, and I always think things over, and you don't. You're impulsive. You get a notion in your head and you jump up and do the thing straight off. And if it's silly, well, so much the worse for you. Whereas I think things out.
Sometimes it's better not to think too much.
I don't agree with you. I know it's horrible and I pity Polynices just as much as you do. But all the same, I sort of see what Uncle Creon means.
I don't want to sort of see anything.
Uncle Creon is the king. He has to set an example.
But I am not the king, and I don't have to set people examples. Little Antigone gets a notion in her head. The nasty brat, the willful, wicked girl. And they put her in a corner all day, or they lock her up in the cellar. And she deserves it. She shouldn't have disobeyed.
There you go, frowning and glowering and wanting her own stubborn way in everything. Listen to me. I'm right oftener than you are.
I don't want to be right.
At least you can try to understand.
Understand? The first word I heard out of any of you was the word understand. Why didn't I understand that I must not play with water? Cold, black, beautiful flowing water, because I'd spill it on the palace tiles. Or with earth, because earth dirties a little girl's frock. Why didn't I understand that nice children don't eat out of every dish at once, or give everything in their pockets to beggars, or run in the wind so fast that they fall down, or ask for a drink when they're perspiring, or want to go swimming when it's either too early or too late, merely because they happen to feel like swimming? Understand? I don't want to understand. There'll be time enough to understand when I'm old. If I ever am old. Not now.
He's stronger than we are, Antigone. He is the king and the whole city is with him. Thousands and thousands of them swarming through all the streets of Thebes. His mob will come running, howling as it runs. 1,000 arms will seize our arms. 1,000 breaths will breathe into our faces. Like one single pair of eyes, 1,000 eyes will stare at us. We'll be driven in a tumbril through their hatred, through the smell of them, and their cruel, roaring laughter. We'll be dragged to the scaffold for torture, surrounded by guards with their idiot faces all bloated, their animal hands clean washed for the sacrifice, their beefy eyes squinting as they stare at us. And we'll know that no shrieking and no begging will make them understand that we want to live. But they're like slaves who do exactly as they've been told, without caring for right or wrong. And we shall suffer. We shall feel pain rising in us, until it becomes so unbearable that we know it must stop. But it won't stop. It will go on rising and rising like a screaming voice. I can't. Antigone. I can't.
How well you have thought it all out.
I thought of it all night long. Didn't you?
Oh, yes.
You awful coward, Antigone.
So am I. Well, what has that to do with it?
But, Antigone, don't you want to go on living?
Go on living? Who was it that was always the first out of bed because she loved the touch of the cold morning air on her bare skin? Who was always the last to bed because nothing less than infinite fatigue could wean her from the lingering night? Who wept when she was little because there were too many grasses in the meadow, too many creatures in the field for her to know and touch them all?
Darling, little...
No, for heaven's sake, don't bore me. And don't let's start sniveling. You say you've thought it all out. The howling mob, the torture, the fear of death. They've made up your mind for you, is that it?
Yes.
All right. They're as good excuses as any.
Antigone, be sensible. It's all very well for men to believe in ideas and die for them. But you're a girl.
Don't I know I'm a girl? Haven't I spent my life cursing the fact that I was a girl?
Antigone, you have everything in the world to make you happy. All you have to do is reach out for it. You're going to be married. You're young. You're beautiful.
I am not beautiful.
Yes, you are. Not the way other girls are, but it's always you that the little boys turn to look back when you pass us in the street. When you go by, the little girls stop talking. They stare and stare at us until we've turned the corner.
Little boys. Little girls.
And what about Haemon?
I should see Haemon this morning. I'll take care of Haemon. You always said I was mad, and it didn't matter how little I was or what I wanted to do. Go back to bed now, Ismene. The sun is coming up, and as you see, there is nothing more that I can do today. Our brother Polynices is as well guarded as if he had won the war and was sitting on his throne. Go along. You look pale and tired.
What are you going to do?
I don't feel like going to bed. However, if you like, I'll promise not to leave the house till you wake up. Nurse is getting me breakfast. Go and get some sleep. The sun is just up. Oh, look at you. You look so tired. You can't keep your eyes open. Go.
You will listen to reason, won't you? You'll let me talk to you about this again. Promise.
Promise. I'll let you talk. I'll let all of you talk. Go back to bed now. Where is it?
Come along, my dog. I made you some coffee and toast and jam.
I'm not really hungry, nurse.
Where is your pain?
Nowhere, Nanny. But you must keep me warm and safe the way you used to when I was little. Nanny, stronger than all fever, stronger than any nightmare, stronger than the shadow of the cupboard that used to snarl at me and turn into a dragon on the bedroom wall, stronger than 1,000 insects gnawing and nibbling in the silence of the night, stronger than the night itself with the weird hooting of the night birds that frightened me even when I couldn't hear them. Nanny, stronger than death. Give me your hand, Nanny, as if I were in bed and you sitting beside me.
My sparrow, my lamb. What is it that's eating your heart out?
It's just that I'm still a little young for what I have to go through, but nobody but you must know that.
A little young for what, my kitten?
Nothing in particular, Nanny, just all this. So good you are here. I can hold your calloused hand, your hand that is so prompt to ward off evil. You are very powerful, Nanny.
What is it you want me to do for you, my baby?
There isn't anything to do, except put your hand like this against my cheek. There. I'm not afraid anymore, not of the wicked ogre, nor of the sad man, nor of the dwarf who steals little children. Nanny,
Yes.
my dog, Buff,
Well,
promise me that you will never scold you again.
dogs that dirty up a house with their filthy paws deserve to be scolded.
I know, just the same. Promise me.
You mean you want me to let her make a mess all over the place and not say a thing?
Yes, Nanny.
You're asking a lot. The next time she wets my living room
Please,
carpet,
Annie, I beg of you.
It isn't fair to take me on my weak side just because you're looking a little peaked today. Well, have it your own way. We'll bother and keep our mouths shut. And you're making a fool of me, though.
And promise me that you will talk to her, often.
Me talk to a dog?
Yes, but you're not to talk to her the way people usually talk to dogs. You're to talk to her the way I talk to her.
I don't see why both of us have to make fools of ourselves. So long as you're here, one ought to be enough.
But if there was a reason why I couldn't go on talking to her, then you
Couldn't go on talking to her? And why couldn't you go on talking to her? What kind of pocket?
if she got too unhappy, if she moaned and moaned, waiting for me with her nose under the door, as she does when I'm out all day. And the best thing then might be to have her mercifully put to sleep.
Now what has gotten to you this morning? Running around in the dark, won't eat, won't sleep. And now it's so dark she wants killed. I know.
Nanny, Haemon is here. Go inside, please, and don't forget that you promised me. Haemon, forgive me for quarreling with you last night. Forgive me for everything. It was all my fault. I beg you to forgive me.
You know that I've forgiven you. You'd hardly slammed the door. Your perfume still hung in the room when I'd already forgiven you. You stole that perfume. From whom?
Ismene.
And the rouge and the face powder and the frock? Whom did you steal them from?
Ismene.
And in whose honor did you get yourself up so elegantly?
I'll tell you everything. Darling, what a fool I was to waste a whole evening. A whole beautiful evening.
We'll have other evenings, my sweet.
Perhaps we will.
And other quarrels too. A happy love is full of quarrels, you know.
Happy. Yes. Haemon, listen to me.
Yes,
Don't laugh at me this morning. Be serious.
I am serious.
Hold me tight. Tighter than you have ever held me. I want all your strength to flow into me.
There. With all my strength.
Haemon, I wanted to tell you. You know, the little boy we were going to have when we were married?
Yes?
I'd have protected him against everything in the world.
Yes, dearest.
Oh, you don't know how I should have held him in my arms and given him my strength. He wouldn't have been afraid of anything. I swear he wouldn't. Not of the falling night, nor of the terrible noonday sun, nor of all the shadows or all the walls in the world. Our little boy. His mother wouldn't have been very imposing. Her hair wouldn't always have been brushed, but she would have been strong where he was concerned. So much stronger than all those real mothers with their real bosoms and their aprons round their middle. You believe that, don't you, Haemon?
Yes. Yes, my darling.
Do you believe me when I say that you would have had a real wife?
Darling, you are my real wife.
Haemon, you loved me. You did love me that night, didn't you? You're sure of it.
What night, my sweet?
And you're very sure, aren't you, that night at the dance, when you came to the corner where I was sitting, there was no mistake. It was me you were looking for. It wasn't another girl. And you're sure that never, not even in your most secret heart of hearts, have you said to yourself that it was Ismene you ought to have asked to marry you instead?
Antigone, you are idiotic. You might give me credit for knowing my own mind. It's you I love and no one else.
But you love me as a woman. As a woman wants to be loved, don't you? Your arms around me, you're not lying, are they? Your hands so warm against my back, they're not lying. This warmth that's in me, this confidence, the sense that I am safe and secure that flows through me, as I stand here with my cheek in the hollow of your shoulder. They're not lies.
Antigone, darling, I love you exactly as you love me, with all of myself.
I'm sallow. And I'm strong. Ismene is pink and golden. She's like a fruit.
Look here, Antigone.
Ah, dearest, I am ashamed of myself. But this morning, this special morning, I must know. I beg you to tell me the truth. If you think about me, when it strikes you suddenly that I am going to belong to you, do you feel that a great empty space is being hollowed out inside you? That there's something inside you that's just dying?
Yes. Yes, I do.
That's the way I think. And another thing, I wanted you to know that I should have been very proud to be your wife. A woman whose shoulder you would put your hand on as you sat down to table, absent-mindedly as upon a thing that belonged to you. There. Now I have two more things to tell you. And when I have told them to you, you must go away instantly, without asking any questions, however strange they may seem to you, however much they may hurt you. Swear that you will.
What are these things that you're going to tell me?
Swear first that you will go away without one word, without so much as looking at me. You hear me, Haemon? Swear it, please. This is the last mad wish that you will ever have to grant me.
I swear it since you insist, but I must tell you that I don't like this at all.
Please, you must listen to me. It's very serious. First, about last night, when I came to your house. You asked me a moment ago why I wore Ismene's dress and rouge, and it was because I was stupid. I wasn't very sure that you loved me as a woman, and I did it because I wanted you to want me. I was trying to be more like other girls.
Was that the reason?
Yes, and you laughed at me, and we quarreled, and my awful temper got the better of me, and I flung out of the house. The real reason was that I wanted you to take me. I wanted to be your wife before.
Oh, my darling.
You swore, Haemon. You swore you wouldn't ask any questions. As a matter of fact, I'll tell you why. I wanted to be your wife last night because I love you that way, very, very strongly. And also because forgive me. I'm going to force you quite a lot of things. I wanted it also because I shall never be able to marry you. Never. Haemon, you took a solemn oath. You swore. Leave me quickly. Tomorrow the whole thing will be clear to you. Even before tomorrow, this afternoon. Haemon, go now. Please, it's the only thing left for me to do if you still love me. Well, it's over for Haemon.
I can't sleep. I'm terrified. I'm so afraid that even though it's daylight, I'll still go out and try and bury Polynices. Antigone, little sister, we all want to make you happy. Haemon and Nurse and I, and Puff, whom you love. We love you. We are alive and we need you. And you remember what our brother Polynices was like? He was our brother, of course, but he's dead, and he never loved you. He was a bad brother. He was like an enemy in the house. He never thought of you. Why should you think of him? So what if his body does have to wander through endless time without rest or peace? Don't try to do something that is beyond your strength. You're always defying the world, but you're only a girl after all, Antigone. Stay at home tonight. Don't try to do it. I beg you. It's Creon's doing, not ours.
You are too late, Ismene. When you first saw me this morning, I had just come in from Meherangiz.
The private of the guards, you say? One of those standing watch over the body? Show him in.
Private Jonas, sir. 2nd Battalion.
What are you doing here?
It's like this, sir. Soon as it happened, we said, got to tell the chief about it before anyone else feels it. He'll want to know right away. So we tossed a coin to see which one would come up and tell you about it. You see, sir, we thought only one man had better come because after all, you don't want to leave the body without a guard, right? Of course, right. I mean, there's 2 of us on duty guarding the body.
What's the matter with you, man? What are you shaking for? What's wrong about the body?
Sir, I've been 17 years in the service. Volunteer, wounded 3 times, 2 mentioned. My record's clean. I know my business and I know my place. I carry out orders, sir. Ask any officer in the battalion, they'll tell you. Leave it to Jonas, give him an order, he'll carry it out. That's what they'll tell you. Sir, Jonas, that's me, sir.
What
that's
are
my
you
name.
still shaking for?
By rights, it's the corporal's job, sir. I've been recommended for the corporal, but they haven't put it through yet. June it was supposed to go through.
Stop chattering and tell me why you're here. If anything has gone wrong, I'll break both of you.
Nobody can say we didn't keep our eye on that body. We had a 2 o'clock watch, sir. The tough one. You know how it is. It's nearly the end of the night. Your eyes are like lead. You've got a crick in the back of your neck. There's shadows and the fog is beginning to roll in. A fine watch they give us. And me, 17 years in the service. But anybody says we were not doing our duty is a liar. We were on our feet, both of us. First place, sir, it was too cold. Second place, well, sir, I turned around and looked at the body. We wasn't only 10 feet away from it, but that's how I am. I was keeping my eye on it. Listen, sir, I was the first man to see it. Me, he'll tell you. I was the one that let off that yell.
What for? What was the matter?
Sir, the body. Somebody had been there and buried it. It wasn't much, you understand, with us both there. It couldn't have been. Just covered over with a little dirt, that's all. But enough to hide it from the buzzards.
I got her. You sure it couldn't have been a dog scratching up the earth?
Not a chance, sir. That's what we kind of hoped it was. But the earth was scattered over just like the priests tell you should do it. Whoever did that job knew what he was doing all right.
Who could have dared? Was there anything to indicate who might have done it?
Not a thing, sir. Maybe we heard a footstep. I can't swear to it. Of course, we started right in to search. And my pal, he found a shovel. A kid's shovel, no bigger than that, all rusty and everything. He's got the shovel for you, sir. We thought maybe a kid had done it.
A child. I broke the back of the rebellion, but like a snake it is coming together again. Polynices' friends, with their gold blocked by my orders in the backs of thieves. The leaders of the mob, stinking of garlic and allied to envious princes, and the temple priests, always ready for a bit of fishing in troubled waters. The child. I can imagine what he's like, that child. A baby-faced killer, creeping in the night with a toy spade under his jacket. Though, why shouldn't they have corrupted a real child? Very touching. Very useful to the party, an innocent child. A martyr. A real white-faced baby of 14 who will spit with contempt at the guards who kill him. A free gift to their cause, the precious innocent blood of a child on my hands. They must have accomplices in the guard. Look here, you. Who knows about this?
Only us two, sir. We flipped a coin and I came right over.
Right. Now, listen. You will continue on duty. When the relief squad comes up, you will tell them to return to barracks. You will uncover the body. If another attempt is made to bury it, I shall expect you to make an arrest and bring the person straight to me. And you will keep your mouth shut. Not one word of this to a human soul. You are both guilty of neglect of duty, and you will be punished. But if the rumor spreads that the body received burial, you will be shot. Both of you.
Sir, we never told anybody. I swear we didn't. Anyhow, I've been up here. Suppose my pal, he spills it to the relief. I couldn't have been with him If anyone talked, it couldn't be me. I'm here.
Clear out! If the story doesn't get around, you won't be shot. The child. Come along, Page. Since we can't hope to keep this to ourselves, we shall have to be the first to give out the news. Then we shall have to clear up the mess. Would you be willing to die for me? Would you defy the guard with your little spade? Of course you would. You would do it too.
The spring is wound up tight. It will uncoil on itself. That is what is so convenient in tragedy. The least little flick of the wrist will do the job. A glance at a girl who happens to be lifting her arms to her hair as you go by. A feeling when you wake up on a fine morning that you'd like a little respect paid to you today, as though it were as easy to order as a second cup of coffee. One question too many, idly thrown out over a friendly drink. And the tragedy is on. The rest is automatic. You don't have to lift a finger. The machine is in perfect order. It has been oiled ever since time began. And it runs without friction. Death, treason, and sorrow are on the march. And they move in the wake of storms, of tears, of stillness. Every kind of stillness. The hush when the executioner's axe goes up at the end of the last act. The unbreathable silence at the beginning of the play when the two lovers, their hearts bare, their bodies naked, stand for the first time face to face, afraid to stir. The silence inside you when the roaring crowd acclaims the winner so that you think of a film without a soundtrack. Mouths all agape and no sound coming out of them. A clamor that is no more than a picture. And you, the victor, already vanquished, alone in the desert of your silence. That is tragedy. Tragedy is clean, it is restful, it is flawless. It has nothing to do with melodrama, with wicked villains, persecuted maidens, avengers, sudden revelations, and 11th hour repentances. Death in a melodrama is really horrible because it is never inevitable. The dear old father might so easily have been saved. The honest young man might so easily have brought in the police 5 minutes early. In a tragedy, nothing is in doubt, and everyone's destiny is known. That makes for tranquility. There is a sort of fellow feeling among characters in a tragedy. He who kills is as innocent as he who gets killed. It's all a matter of casting. Tragedy is restful. And the reason is that hope, that foul, deceitful thing, has no part in it. There isn't any hope. You're trapped. The whole sky has fallen on you, and all you can do about it is shout. That's right. I said shout. I did not say groan or whimper or complain. That you cannot do. But you can shout aloud. You can say all those things you always wanted to say. And even those things you never thought you'd be able to say. And you say those things not because you think they'll do any good. You know better than that. You say them for their own sake. You say them because you learn a lot from them. In a melodrama, you argue and you struggle in the hope of escape. That's vulgar. It is practical. But in tragedy, where there is no temptation to try to escape. Argument is gratuitous. Tragedy is truly fit for a king. The play is on. Antigone has been caught. For the first time in her life, little Antigone is now going to be able to be herself.
Come on now, miss, give it a rest. The chief will be here in a minute and you can tell him all about it. All I know is me orders. I don't want to know what you were doing there. People always have excuses, but I can't afford to listen to them, see? Why, if we had to listen to all the people who want to tell us what's wrong with this country, we'd never get our work done. You keep hold of her and I'll see that she keeps her face shut.
He's hurting me. Tell him to take his dirty hands off me.
Dirty hands, eh? The least you can do is try to be polite, miss. Look at me, I'm polite.
Tell him to let me go. I shan't run away. My father was King Oedipus. I am Antigone.
Oedipus, little girl. Well, listen to that. Miss, the night watch never picks up a lady, but they always say, you better be careful. I'm sleeping with the police commissioner.
I don't mind being killed, but I don't want you to touch me.
And what about sticks and dirt and such like? You wasn't afraid to touch them, was you? Ah, dirty hands. Take a look at your own. You must have lost your shovel, didn't you? Had to go at it with your fingernails, didn't you? I'll bet the second time. My God, I never saw such nerve. I turn my back for about 5 seconds. I ask a pal for a chew. I say thanks. I get the tobacco stowed away in my cheek. The whole thing don't take more than 10 seconds. And there she is clawing away like a hyena, right out in broad daylight. And did she scratch and kicked when I grabbed her? Straight for my eyes with the nail she went. And yelling something fierce about, I haven't finished yet, let me finish. She ain't got all her marbles.
I pinched a nut like that the other day. Right on Main Square she was, hoisting up her skirts and showing her behind to anybody that wanted to take a look.
Listen, we are going to get a bonus out of this. What say we throw a party, the two of us?
At the Old behind Market Street.
Suits me. Sunday would be a good day. We're off duty Sunday.
Do we have to bring the wives?
No, let's have some fun this time. Bring your wife, there's always something goes wrong. First place, what you do with them kids. Bring them and they'll always want to go to the can just when you're right in the middle of a game of cards or something. Listen, who would have thought that an hour ago that us two would be talking about throwing a party now? The way I felt when the old man was interrogating me, we'd be lucky if we got off with being docked a month's pay. I want to tell you, I was scared.
Are you sure we're going to get a bonus?
Oh yes, something tells me this is big stuff.
What's his name? You know, in the 3rd Battalion. He got an extra month's pay for catching a firebug. If we get an extra month's pay, I vote we throw the party at the Arabian.
You're crazy. He charges twice as much for liquor as anybody else in town. Unless you want to go upstairs. You can't do that with the old woman.
Well, we can't keep this from our wives. No matter how you look at it, we'll get an extra month's pay. And what happens? Everybody in the battalion knows about it, and your wife knows it too. They might even line up the battalion and give it to you in front of everybody. So how can you keep the wife from finding out?
We'll see about that. If they do the job out in the barrack yard, of course that means women, kids, everything.
I should like to sit down, if you please.
Let her sit down. But keep hold of her. Attention!
Antigone. Take off those handcuffs. What's this?
The watch, sir. We both came this time.
Who's guarding the body?
We sent for the relief.
But I gave orders that the relief was to go back to the barracks and stay there. I told you not to open your mouth about this.
And nobody said anything, sir. We made this arrest and brought the party in the way you said we should.
Where did these men find you?
Right by the body, sir.
What were you doing near your brother's body? You knew what my orders were.
What was she doing? Sir, that's why we brought her in. She was digging up the dirt with her nails. She was trying to cover up the body all over again.
Do you realize what you're saying?
Sir, ask this man over here. After I reported to you, I went back and the first thing we did, we uncovered the body, sir. The sun was coming up and it was beginning to smell, so we moved it up a little on the rise, you know, to get him into the wind. Of course, you wouldn't expect any trouble in broad daylight, but just the same, we decided one of us had better keep his eye peeled all the time. About noon, what with the sun and the smell, and as the wind dropped, and I wasn't feeling none too good, I goes over to my pal over there to get a chew. I just have time to say thanks and stick it in my mouth when I turn around, and there she was, clawing away at the dirt with both hands, sir, right out in broad daylight. Wouldn't you think when she saw me come running, she'd stop and leg it out of there? Oh, no, not her. She went right on digging as fast as she could, as if I wasn't there at all. And when I grabbed her, she scratched and bit and yelled to leave her alone. She hadn't finished yet. The body wasn't all covered yet, and the like of that.
Is this true?
Yes, it's true.
We scraped the dirt off as fast as we could. Then we sent for the relief and we posted them, sir. But we didn't tell them a thing. And we brought the party in so as you could see her. And that's the truth, so help us God.
Was it you who covered the body the first time? In the night?
Yes, it was. With the toy spade we used to take to the seashore when we were children. It was Polynices' own spade. He had cut his name in the handle. That's why I left it with him. But these men took it away, so the next time I had to do it with my hands.
Sir, she was clawing away like a wild animal. Matter of fact, first minute we saw her, what with the heat haze and everything, my pal says, that must be a dog, he says. Dog? I says, that's a girl that is. And it was.
Very well. You will wait outside. I may want to report on you later.
Do we put the cuffs back on her, sir?
No. Have you told anybody what you meant to do?
No?
Did you meet anyone on your way, coming or going?
No, nobody.
Sure of that? Are you?
Perfectly sure.
Very well. Now listen to me. You will go straight to your room. When you get there, you will go to bed. You will say that you're not well and that you've not been out since yesterday. Your nurse will tell the same story. Now get rid of those men.
Uncle Creon, you are going to a lot of trouble for no good reason. You must know that I will do it over again tonight.
Why did you bury your brother?
I owed it to him.
I had forbidden it.
I owed it to him. Those who are not buried wander eternally and find no rest. If my brother were alive, and he came home weary after a long day's hunting, I should kneel down and unlace his boots. I should fetch him food and drink. I should see that his bed was ready for him. Polynices is home from the hunt. I owe it to him to unlock the house of the dead in which my father and my mother are waiting to welcome him. Polynices has earned his rest.
Polynices was a rebel and a traitor, and you know it.
He was my brother.
You heard my edict. It was proclaimed throughout Thebes. You read my edict. It was posted up on the city walls.
Of course I did.
You knew the punishment I decreed for any person who attempted to give him burial.
Yes, I knew the punishment.
Did you by any chance act on the assumption that a daughter of Oedipus's stubborn pride, was above the law?
No, I did not act on that assumption.
Because if you had acted on that assumption, Antigone, you would have been deeply wrong. Nobody has a more sacred obligation to obey the law than those who make the law. You are a daughter of lawmakers, a daughter of kings, Antigone. You must observe the law.
Had I been a scullery maid washing my dishes when that law was read aloud to me, I should have scrubbed the greasy water from my arms and gone out in my apron to bury my brother.
Oh, what nonsense. If you'd been a scullery maid, there would have been no doubt in your mind about the seriousness of that edict. You would have known that it meant death, and you would have been satisfied to weep for your brother in your kitchen. But you thought that because you come of the royal line, because you were my niece and were going to marry my son, I shouldn't dare to have you killed.
No, mistaken. Quite the contrary. I never doubted for an instant that you would have me put to death.
The pride of Oedipus. Oedipus and his headstrong pride all over again. I can see your father in you, and I believe you. Of course you thought that I should have you killed. Proud as you are, it seemed to you a natural climax in your existence. Your father was like that. For him, as for you, human happiness was meaningless, and mere human misery was not enough to satisfy his passion for torment. You come of people for whom the human vestment is a kind of straitjacket. It cracks at the seams. You spend your lives wriggling to get out of it. Nothing less than a cozy tea party with the death, and destiny will quench your thirst. The happiest hour of your father's life came when he listened greedily to the story of how, unknown to himself, he had killed his own father and dishonored the bed of his own mother. Drop by drop, word by word, he drank in the dark story that the gods had destined him first to live and then to hear. Avidly, men and women drink in the brew of such a tale when their names are Oedipus and Antigone. And it's so simple afterwards to do what your father did, to put out one's eyes and take one's daughter begging on the highways. Let me tell you, Antigone, those days are over for Thebes. Thebes has a right to a king without a past. My name, thank God, is only Creon. I stand here with both feet firm on the ground, with both hands in my pockets, and I have decided that so long as I am king, being less ambitious than your father was, I shall merely devote myself to introducing a little order into this absurd kingdom, if that is possible. Don't think that being a king seems to be romantic. It is my trade. A trade a man has to work at every day, and like every other trade, it isn't all beer and skittles. But since it is my trade, I take it seriously. And if tomorrow some wild and bearded messenger walks in from some wild and distant valley, which is what happened to your dad, and tells me that he's not quite sure who my parents were, but thinks that my wife Eurydice is actually my mother, I shall ask him to do me the kindness to go back where he came from. And I shan't let a little matter like that persuade me to order my wife to take a blood test and the police to let me know whether or not my birth certificate was forged. Kings, my girl, have other things to do than to surrender themselves to their private feelings. Hand you over to be killed, Antigone. I have other plans for you. You are going to marry Haemon, and I want you to fatten up a bit, so that you can give him a sturdy boy. Let me assure you that Thebes needs that boy a good deal more than it needs your death. You go to your room now, do as you've been told, and you won't say a word about this to anybody. Don't threaten up the guards. I'll see that their mouths are shut. Don't annihilate me with those eyes. I know that you think I'm rude, and I'm sure you must consider me very prosaic. But the fact is, Antigone, I've always been fond of you, stubborn though you always were. Don't forget that the first doll you ever had came from me. Where are you going?
You know very well where I am going.
What sort of game are you playing?
I'm not playing games.
Antigone, do you realize that if, apart from those guards, a single soul finds out what you've tried to do, it will be impossible for me to avoid putting you to death? There is still a chance that I can save you, but only if you keep this to yourself and give up your crazy purpose. 5 minutes more and it will be too late. You understand that?
I must go and bury my brother. Those men uncovered him.
What good will it do? You know that there are other men standing guard over Polynices. And even if you did cover him over with her again, the earth would again be removed.
I know all that. I know it. But that much at least I can do. And what a person can do, a person ought to do.
Tell me, Antigone, do you believe all that flummery about religious burial? Do you really believe that a so-called shade of your brother is condemned to wander forever homeless if a little earth is not flung on his corpse to the accompaniment of some priestly abracadabra? Have you ever listened to the priests of Thebes when they were mumbling their formula? Have you ever watched those dreary bureaucrats when they were preparing the dead for burial? Skipping half the gestures required by the ritual, swallowing up their words, hustling the dead into their graves out of fear that they might be late for lunch.
Yes, I have seen all that.
And did you never say to yourself as you watched them that if someone you really loved lay dead under the shuffling, mumbling ministrations of the priests, you would scream aloud and beg the priests to leave the dead in peace.
Yes, I have thought all that.
And you still insist upon being put to death, merely because I refuse to let your brother go out with that grotesque passport, because I refuse his body the wretched consolation of that mass production jibber-jabber, which you would have been the first to be embarrassed by if I had allowed it. Well, the whole thing is absurd.
Yes, it's absurd.
Then why, Antigone, why? For whose sake? For the sake of them that believe in it? To raise them against me?
No.
For whom then, if not for them, and not for Polynices either?
For nobody. For myself.
You must want very much to die. You look like a trapped animal.
Stop feeling sorry for me. Do as I do. Do your job. But if you are a human being, do it quickly. That's all I ask of you. I'm not going to be able to hold out forever.
I want to save you, Antigone.
You are the king and you are all-powerful, but that you cannot do.
You think not?
Neither save me nor stop me.
Prideful little Antigone, little Oedipus.
Only this you can do. Have me put to death.
Have you tortured, perhaps?
Why would you do that? See me cry? To hear me beg for mercy? Or swear whatever you wish and then start all over again?
You listen to me. You have cast me for the villain in this little play of yours and yourself for the heroine, and you know it, you damned little mischief maker, but don't you drive me too far. If I were one of your preposterous little tyrants that Greece is full of, you would be lying in a ditch this minute with your tongue pulled out and your body drawn and quartered, but you can see something in my face that makes me hesitate to send for the guards and turn you over to them. Instead, I let you go on arguing. You taunt me, you take the offensive. What are you driving at, you she-devil?
Let me go, you're hurting my arm.
I will not let you go.
Ah!
I was a fool to waste words. I should have done this from the beginning. I may be your uncle, but we're not a particularly affectionate family, are we? Eh? Are we? What fun for you, eh? To be able to spit in the face of a king who has all the power in the world, a man who has done his own killing in his day, who has killed people just as pitiable as you are, and who is still soft enough to go to all this trouble in order to keep you from being killed.
You're squeezing my arm too tightly. It doesn't hurt anymore.
I shall save you yet. God knows I have things enough to do today without wasting my time on an insect like you. There's plenty to do, I assure you, when you just put down a revolution. But urgent things can wait. I am not going to let politics be the cause of your death, for it is a fact that this whole business is nothing but politics. The mournful shade of Polynices, the decomposing corpse, the sentimental weeping, and the hysteria that you mistake for heroism. Nothing but politics. Here, I may not be soft, but I am fastidious. I like things clean, ship-shape, well-scrubbed. Don't think that I'm not just as offended as you are by the thought of that meat rotting in the sun. In the evening when the breeze comes in off the sea, you can smell it in the palace and it nauseates me. But I refuse even to shut my window. It's vile, and I can tell you what I wouldn't tell anybody else. It's stupid, monstrously stupid. But the people of Thebes have got to have their noses rubbed into it a little longer. My God, if it was up to me, I should have had them buried long ago as a mere matter of public hygiene. I admit that what I'm doing is childish, but if the feather-headed rabble I govern are to understand what's what, that stench has got to fill the town for a month.
You are a loathsome man.
I agree. My trade forces me to be, or we could argue whether I ought or ought not to follow my trade. But once I take on the job, I must do it properly.
Why do you do it at all?
My dear, I woke up one morning and found myself king of Thebes. God knows there were other things I loved in life more than power.
Then you should have said no.
Yes, I could have done that. Only I felt that it would have been cowardly. I should have been like a workman who turns down a job that has to be done. So I said yes.
So much the worse for you then. I didn't say yes. I can say no to anything I think vile, and I don't have to count the cost. But because you said yes, all that you can do for all your crown and your trappings and your guard
Listen to me.
If I want to. I don't have to listen to you if I don't want to. You've said your yes. There's nothing more that you can tell me that I don't know. Stand there drinking in my words. Why is it that you don't call your guards? I'll tell you why. Because you want to hear me out to the end, that's why.
You amuse me.
Oh no, I don't. I frighten you. That's why you talk about saving me. Everything would be so much easier if you had a docile, tongue-tied little Antigone living in the palace. I'll tell you something, Uncle Creon. I'll give you back one of your own words. You are too fastidious to make a good tyrant. But you're going to have to put me to death today, and you know it. And that's what frightens you. God, is there anything uglier than a frightened man?
Very well, I'm afraid then. Does that satisfy you? I'm afraid that if you insist upon it, I shall have to have you killed, and I don't want to.
I don't have to do things that I think are wrong. For that matter, you didn't really want to leave my brother's body unburied, did you? Say it. Admit that you didn't.
I have said it already.
But you did it just the same. And now, though you don't want to do it, you are going to have me killed. And you call that being a king?
Yes, I call that being a king.
Poor Creon. My nails are broken, my fingers are bleeding, my arms are covered by the welts left by the claws of your guards. But I am a queen.
Then why not have pity on me and live? Isn't your brother's corpse rotting there under my windows payment enough for peace and order in Thebes? My son loves you. Don't make me add your life to the payment. I've paid enough.
No, Creon. You said your yes and made yourself king. Now you will never stop paying.
But God in heaven, won't you try to understand me? I'm trying hard enough to understand you. There had to be one man who said yes. Somebody had to agree to captain the ship. She'd spunk 100 leaks. She was loaded to the waterline with crime, ignorance, poverty. The wheel was swinging with the wind. The crew refused to work and were looting the cargo. The officers were building a raft, ready to slip overboard and desert the ship. The mast was splitting. The wind was howling. The sails were beginning to rip. Every man jack on board was about to drown. And only because the only thing they thought of was their own skins and their cheap little day-to-day traffic. Was that a time, do you think, for playing with words like yes and no? Was that a time for a man to be weighing the pros and cons, wondering if he wasn't going to pay too dearly later on, if he wasn't going to lose his life for his family or his touch with other men? You grab the wheel. You right the ship in the face of a mountain of water. You shout an order, and if one man refuses to obey, you shoot straight into the mob. Into the mob, I say, that beast, as nameless as the wave that crashes down upon your deck, as nameless as the whipping wind. The thing that drops when you shoot may be someone who poured you a drink the night before, but it has no name. And you, braced at the wheel, you have no name either. Nothing has a name except the ship and the storm. Now, do you understand?
I am not here to understand. That's all very well for you. I'm here to say no to you and die.
It is easy to say no.
Not always.
It is easy to say no. To say yes, you have to sweat and roll up your sleeves and plunge both hands into life up to the elbows. It is easy to say no, even if saying no means death. All you have to do is to sit still and wait. Wait to go on living, wait to be killed. That is the coward's part. No is one of your man-made words. Can you imagine a world in which trees say no to the sap? In which beasts say no to hunger or to propagation? Animals are good, simple, tough. They move in droves, all traveling the same road. Some of them keel over, but the rest go on. And no matter how many may fall by the wayside, there are always those few left which go on bringing their young into the world, traveling the same road with the same obstinate will, unchanged from those who went before.
animals, eh, Creon? What a king you could be if only men were animals.
You despise me, don't you? Strange. Again and again I have imagined myself holding this conversation with a pale young man I have never seen in the flesh. He would have come to assassinate me and would have failed. I would be trying to find out from him why he wanted to kill me. But with all my logic and all my powers of debate, the only thing I could get out of him would be that he despised me. Who would have thought that the white-faced boy would turn out to be you? And that the debate would arise out of something so meaningless as the burial of your brother.
Meaningless?
And yet you must hear me out. My part is not a heroic one, but I shall play my part. I shall have you put to death. Only before I do, I want to make one last appeal. I want to be sure that you know what you are doing as well as I know what I am doing. Antigone, do you know what you're dying for? Do you know the sordid story to which you're going to sign your name in blood for all time to come?
What story?
The story of Eteocles and Polynices. The story of your brothers. You think you know it, but you don't. Nobody in Thebes knows that story but me. And it seems to me this afternoon that you have a right to know it too. Ah, it's not a pretty story, you will see. Tell me first, what do you remember about your brothers? They were older than you, so they must have looked down on you. Hmm? And I imagine that they tormented you, pulled your pigtails, broke your dolls, whispered secrets to each other to put you in a rage.
They were big, and I was little.
And later on, when they came home wearing evening clothes, smoking cigarettes, they would have nothing to do with you. And you thought they were wonderful.
They were boys, and I was a girl.
You know why exactly. But you knew that they were making your mother unhappy. You saw her in tears over them, and your father would fly into a rage because of them. You heard them come in, slamming doors, laughing noisily in the corridors, insolent, spineless, unruly, smelling of drink.
Once it was very early, and we had just got up. I saw them coming home, and I hid behind the door. Polynices was very pale, and his eyes were shining. He looked so handsome in his evening clothes. He saw me and said, "Here, this is for you." He gave me a big paper flower that he had brought home from his night out.
And of course, you still have that flower. Last night before you crept out, you opened a drawer and looked at it for a time to get yourself a kite.
Who told you so?
Poor Antigone with her nightclub flower. Do you know what your brother was?
Whatever he was, I know you would say vile things about him.
A cheap, idiotic bounder, that is what he was. A cruel, vicious little voluptuary. A little beast with just wit enough to drive a car faster and throw more money away than any of his pals. I was with your father one day when Polynices, having lost a lot of money gambling, asked him to settle the debt. And when your father refused, the boy raised his hand against him and called him a vile name.
It's a lie.
He struck your father in the face with his fist. It was pitiful. Your father sat at his desk with his head in his hands, his nose bleeding. He was weeping with anguish. And in a corner of your father's study, Polynices stood sneering and lighting a cigarette.
It's a lie.
When did you last see Polynices alive? When you were 12 years old. That's true, isn't it?
Yes.
Now you know why. Oedipus was too chicken-hearted to have the boy locked up. Polynices was allowed to go off and join the Argive army. And as soon as he reached Argos, the attempts upon your father's life began. Upon the life of an old man who couldn't make up his mind to die, couldn't bear to be parted from his kingship. One after another, men slipped into Thebes from Argos for the purpose of assassinating him. And every killer we caught always ended by confessing who had put him up to it, who had paid him to try it. And it wasn't only Polynices. That is really what I'm trying to tell you. I want you to know what went on in the back room, in the kitchen of politics. I want you to know what took place in the wings of this drama in which you are burning to play a part. Yesterday I gave Eteocles a state funeral with pomp and honors. Today Eteocles is a saint and a hero in the eyes of all Thebes. The whole city turned out to bury him. The school children emptied their savings boxes to buy wreaths for him. Old men, orating in quavering, hypocritical voices, glorified the virtue of the great-hearted brother, the devoted son, the loyal prince. I made a speech myself, and every temple priest was present with an appropriate show of sorrow and solemnity in his stupid face. And military honors were accorded the dead hero. What else could I have done? People had taken sides in the civil war. Both sides couldn't be wrong. That would be too much. I couldn't have made them swallow the truth. 2 gangsters was more of a luxury than I could afford. And this is the whole point of my story. Eteocles, that virtuous brother, was just as rotten as Polynices. That great-hearted son had done his best too to procure the assassination of his father. That loyal prince had also offered to sell out Thebes to the highest bidder. Funny, isn't it? Polynices lies rotting in the sun, while Eteocles is given a hero's funeral and will be housed in a marble vault. Yet I have absolute proof that everything that Polynices did, Eteocles had plotted to do. Oh, they were a pair of blackguards, both engaged in selling out Thebes and both engaged in selling out each other. And they died like the cheap gangsters they were over a division of the spoils. But, as I told you a moment ago, I had to make a martyr of one of them. I sent out of the Holocaust for their bodies. They were found clasped in one another's arms for the first time in their lives, I imagine. Each had been spitted on the other's sword, and the Argive cavalry had trampled them down. They were mashed to a pulp, Antigone. I had the prettier of the 2 carcasses brought in, and gave it a state funeral. And I left the other to rot. I don't know which was which, and I assure you, I don't care.
Why have you done me all this?
Would it have been better to let you die a victim to that obscene story?
It might have been. I had my faith.
What are you going to do now?
Go up to my room.
Don't stay alone. Go and find Haemon. And get married quickly. Oh, this is really beside the point, Antigone. You have your whole life ahead of you, and life is a treasure. And you were about to throw it away. Don't think me fatuous if I say that I understand you, and that at your age I should have done the same thing. A moment ago when we were quarreling, you said I was drinking in your words. I was. But it wasn't you I was listening to. It was a lad named Creon, who lived here in Thebes many years ago. He is thin and pale as you are. His mind too was filled with thoughts of self-sacrifice. Go and find Haemon and get married quickly, Antigone. Be happy. Life flows like water, and you young people let it run away through your fingers. Shut your hands. Hold on to it, Antigone. Life is not what you think it is. Life is a child playing around your feet, a tool you hold firmly in your grip, a bench you sit down upon in the evening in your garden. People will tell you that that's not life, that life is something else. They will tell you that because they need your strength and your fire. And they will want to make use of you. Don't listen to them. Believe me, the only poor consolation that we have in our old age is to discover that what I have just said to you is true. Life is nothing more than happiness that you get out of it. Not much of a word, is it?
What kind of happiness do you foresee for me? paint me the picture of your happy Antigone? What are the unimportant little sins that I shall have to commit before I'm allowed to sink my teeth into life and tear happiness from it? Tell me, to whom shall I have to lie? Upon whom shall I have to fawn? To whom must I sell myself? Whom do you want me to leave dying while I turn my eyes away?
Antigone, be quiet.
Why do you tell me to be quiet when all I want to know is what I have to do to be happy? Since it is this very minute that I must make my choice. You tell me that life is so wonderful. I want to know what I have to do in order to be able to say that myself.
Do you love Haemon?
Yes, I love Haemon. The Haemon I love is hard and young, faithful and difficult to satisfy, just as I am. But what I love in Haemon is to be worn away like a stone step by the dread of the thing you call life, the thing you call happiness. Haemon reaches a point where he stops growing pale with fear when I grow pale, stops thinking that I must have been killed in an accident when I'm 5 minutes late, stops feeling he's alone in the world when I laugh and he doesn't know why. If he too has to learn to say yes to everything, no, then no, I do not love Haemon.
You don't know what you're talking about.
I do know what I'm talking about. Now it's you who have stopped understanding. I'm too far away from you now. Talking to you from a kingdom you can't get into with your quick tongue and your hollow heart. I laugh, Creon, because suddenly I see you as you must have been at 15. Same look of impotence on your face, and the same inner conviction that there was nothing you couldn't do. What has life added to you, except those lines on your face and that fat on your stomach?
Be quiet, I tell you.
Why do you tell me to be quiet? Because you know that I am right? You think I can't see it in your face that what I'm saying is true? You can't admit it, of course. You have to go on growling and defending the bone you call happiness.
It is your happiness too, you little fool.
I spit on your happiness. I spit on your idea of life, that life must go on, come what may. All like dogs that lick everything they smell. You with your promise of a humdrum happiness. Oh, provided a person doesn't ask too much of life. I want everything of life. I do, and I want it now. I want it total and complete, otherwise I reject it. I will not be moderate. I will not be satisfied with the bit of cake you offer me if I promise to be a good little girl. I want to be sure of everything this very day. Sure that everything will be as beautiful as when I was a little girl. If not, I want to die!
Scream on, daughter of Eden, scream on, in your father's own voice.
In my father's own voice, yes. We are of the tribe that asks questions, and we ask them to the bitter end, until no tiniest chance of hope remains to be strangled by our hands. We are of the tribe that hates your filthy hope, your docile female hope, hope your heart!
Shut up, if you could see how ugly you are, shrieking those words.
Yes, I am ugly. Father was ugly too. But father became beautiful. Do you know when? At the very end. When all his questions had been answered. When he could no longer doubt that he had killed his own father and that he had gone to bed with his own mother. When all hope was gone. Stamped out like a beacon. When it was absolutely certain that nothing could save her. Then he was at peace. Then he could smile. Almost. Then he became beautiful. Whereas you, those faces of yours. You candidates for election to happiness. It's you who are the ugly ones, even the handsomest of you. With that ugly glint in the corner of your eye, that ugly crease at the corner of your mouth. You spoke the word a moment ago, Creon, the kitchen of politics. You look it and you smell of it!
I order you to shut up. Do you hear me?
You order me? Cook? Do you really believe you can give me orders?
Antigone, the anteroom is full of people. Do you want them to hear you?
Open the doors, let us make sure that they can hear me.
By God, you shut up, I tell you.
Antigone, do you want now?
Forgive me, Antigone. I've come back. I'll be brave. I'll go with you now.
Where will you go with me?
Creon, if you kill her, you'll have to kill me too.
Oh no, Ismene, not a bit of it. I'll die alone. You don't think I'm going to let you die with me after what I've been through. You don't deserve it.
If you die, then I don't want to live. I don't want to be left behind. Alone.
You chose life. I chose death. Now stop blubbering. You had your chance to come with me in the black night, creeping on your hands and knees. You had your chance to claw up the earth with your nails as I did, to get yourself caught like a thief as I did, and you refused it.
Not anymore. I'll do it alone tonight.
You hear that, Creon? The thing is catching. Who knows whether lots of people will catch the disease from me. What are you waiting for? Call in your guards. Show a little courage. Come on, Creon. It only hurts for a minute. Come on, go!
Guards! Take her away.
Creon, you're out of your mind. What have you done?
She had to die.
You must not let Antigone die. We shall carry the scar of her death for centuries.
She insisted. No man on earth was strong enough to dissuade her. Death was her purpose, whether she knew it or not. But I see it was a mere pretext. When she had to give up that pretext, she found another one. That life and habits were tawdry things and not worth possessing. She was bent upon only one thing, to reject life and to die.
She is a mere child,
What can you
Creon.
do for her? Condemn her to live?
Father,
Even forget Antigone. Forget her, my dearest boy.
how can you talk like that?
I did everything I could to save her, even I used every argument, I swear I did. The girl doesn't love you. She could have gone on living for you, but she refused. She wanted it this way. She wanted to die.
Father, the guards are dragging Antigone away. You've got to stop them.
I can't stop them. It's too late. Antigone has spoken. The story is all over Thebes. I cannot save her now.
Creon, you must find a way. Lock her up. Say that she's gone out of her mind.
Everybody will know it isn't so. The nation will say that I'm making an exception of her because my son loves her. I cannot.
You can still gain time by getting her out of Thebes.
Bob already knows the truth. It is howling for her blood. I can do nothing.
Father, you are master in Thebes.
I am master under the law, not above the law.
You cannot let Antigone be taken away from me. I am your son.
I cannot do anything else, my poor boy. She must die, and you must live.
Live, you say? Live life without Antigone. Life in which I am to go on admiring you. As you busy yourself about your kingdom, make your persuasive speeches, strike your attitudes. But without Antigone. I love Antigone. I will not live without Antigone.
Haemon, you will have to resign yourself to life without Antigone. Sooner or later there comes a day of sorrow in each man's life, when he must cease to be a child and take up the burden of manhood. That day has come for you.
The child's strength. That courage. That massive God who used to pick me up in his arms and sheltered me from shadows and monsters. Was that you, Father? Was it of you I stood in awe? Was that man you?
For God's sake, Haemon, do not judge me. Not you too.
This is all a bad dream, Father. You are not yourself. It isn't true that we've been backed up against a wall, forced to surrender. We don't have to say yes to this terrible thing. You are still king, and you are still the father I revered. You have no right. You have no right to desert me, to shrink into nothingness. The world will be to bear, and I will be to alone if you force me to disown you.
The world is bare, Haemon, and you are alone. You must cease to think of your father, all-powerful. Look straight at me. See your father as he is. That is what it means to grow up. and be a man.
Then I tell you that I will not live without Antigone.
Creon, the boy will go mad.
Poor boy, he loves her.
Creon, the boy is wounded to death.
We are all wounded to death.
Sir, the people are crowding the palace.
Creon, I don't want to see their faces. I don't want to hear them howl. You are going to kill me, let that be enough. I want to be alone.
Empty the palace, guards at the gates.
It's you, is it?
What do you mean, me?
The last human face that I shall see. Was it you that arrested me this morning?
Yes, that was me.
You hurt me. There was no need for you to hurt me. Did I act as if I was trying to escape?
Come on now, miss. It was my business to bring you in. I did it.
How old are you?
39.
Do you have any children?
Yes, 2.
Do you love your children?
What's that got to do with you?
How long have you been in the guard?
Since the war. I was in the army, sergeant. Then I joined the guard.
Does one have to have been an army sergeant to get into the guard?
Supposed to be. Either that or on special duty. But when they make you a guard, you lose your stripes. Yes. Of course, if you're a guard, everyone knows you're something special. They know you're an old NCO. Take pay, for instance. When you're a guard, you get your pay. And on top of that, you get 6 months extra pay to make sure you don't lose anything by not being a sergeant anymore. Yeah. And of course, you do better than that. You get a house, gold, rations, extras for the wife and kids. If you've got 2 kids, like me, you draw even better than a sergeant. That's why sergeants now, they don't like guards. Maybe you notice they try to make out they're better than us. Promotion, that's what it is. In the army, anybody can get promoted. All you need is good conduct. Now in the guard, it's slow. And you have to know your business, like how to make out a report and the like of that. But when you're an NCO in the guard, you've got something that even a sergeant major ain't got. For instance...
Listen.
Yes, miss.
I'm going to die soon.
For instance, people have a lot of respect for guards they have. A guard may be a soldier, but he's kind of in the civil service too.
Do you think it hurts to die?
How would I know? Of course, if someone sticks a sword in your guts and turns it around, it hurts.
How are they going to put me to death?
Well, I'll tell you. I heard the proclamation all right. Wait a minute, how does it go? In order that our fair city shall not be polluted with her sinful blood, she shall be immured. That means they shove you in a cave and wall up the cave.
Hmm?
Yes.
Right. No.
Yes, outside the southeast gate of the town, in the cave of Hades, in broad daylight. Some duty, for them that's on the job. First they thought it was a job for the army. Now it looks like it's going to be the guard. There's an outfit for you, nothing the guard can't do. No wonder the army's jealous.
A pair of animals.
What do you mean, a pair of animals?
When the winds blow cold, all they need to do is press close against one another. I am all alone.
Yes. Is there something you want? I can send down for it, you know.
You're very kind. Yes, there is something I want. I want you to give someone a letter for me after I'm dead.
How's that again? A letter?
Yes, I want to write a letter and I want you to give it to someone for me.
Now wait a minute, take it easy. It's as much as my job is worth to go out handing letters from prisoners.
I'll give you this ring if you will do it.
Is it gold?
Yes, it's gold.
No can do. Supposing they go through my pockets, I might get 6 months for a thing like that. Listen, I'll tell you what I will do. You tell me what you want to say, and I'll write it down in my book. Then afterwards, I'll tear out the pages and give them to the party, see? If it's in my handwriting, it's all right.
Your handwriting? No, that would be awful. In your handwriting?
Okay, it's no skin off my nose.
No, keep the ring, but hurry. Time is getting short. Where's your notebook? Ready? Right now. My darling.
Yeah, the boyfriend, eh?
My darling. I wanted to die. Perhaps you will not love me anymore.
You will not love me anymore.
Creon was right. It's terrible to die.
It is terrible to die.
And I don't even know what I'm dying for. I'm so
Hey,
afraid.
wait a minute. How fast do you think I can write?
Where are you?
And I don't even know what I am dying for.
No. No, scratch it all out. Nobody must know that. They have no right to know. It's as if they saw me naked and touched me after I was dead. Scratch it all out. Just right. Forgive me.
I cut out everything you said there at the end, and I just put down, forgive me.
Yes. Forgive me, my darling. You would have all been so happy except for Antigone. I love you.
I love you. Is that all?
That's all.
Damn, funny letter.
I know.
Who is it to? Okay, that's enough out of you. Come on.
And now, it is Creon's turn.
The Queen! The Queen! Where is the Queen?
What do you want with the Queen? What have you got to say to the Queen?
News to break her heart. Antigone had just been thrust into the cave. They hadn't finished heaving the last blocks of stone into place when Creon and the rest heard a sudden moaning from the tomb. A hush fell over us all, for it was not the voice of Antigone. It was Haemon's voice that came forth from the tomb. Everybody looked at Creon, and he howled like a man demented. Take away the stones! Take away the stones! The slaves leaped to the wall of stones, and Creon worked with them, sweating and tearing at the blocks with his bleeding hands. Finally, a narrow opening was forced, and into it slipped the smallest guard. Antigone had hanged herself by the cord of her robe, by the red and golden twisted cord of her robe. The cord was round her neck like a child's collar. Haemon was on his knees, holding her in his arms and moaning, his face buried in her robe. More stones were removed, and Creon went to the tomb. He tried to raise Haemon to his feet. I could hear him begging Haemon to rise to his feet, but Haemon was deaf to his father's pleading. Till suddenly he stood up of his own accord, his eyes dark and burning. Anguish was in his face, for it was the face of a little boy. He stared at his father. Then suddenly he struck him hard, and he drew his sword. Creon leaped out of range. Haemon went on staring at him, his eyes full of contempt. A glance that was like a knife, one that Creon could not escape. The king stood trembling in the far corner of the tomb. And Haemon went on staring. Then, without a word, he stabbed himself and lay down beside Antigone, embracing her in a great pool of blood.
I've had them laid out side by side. They are together at last, peace. Two lovers on the morrow of their bridal. Their work is done.
But not yours, Creon. You still have one thing to learn. Eurydice, the queen, your wife.
Good woman. Always busy with her garden, her preserves, the jerseys. Those jerseys should never stop knitting the poor. Strange how the poor never stop needing jerseys. One would almost think that was already needed.
The poor and thieves are going to be cold this winter, Creon. When the queen was told of her son's death, she waited carefully until she had finished her robe. Then she put down her knitting calmly, as she did everything. She went up to her room, a lavender-scented room with its embroidered doilies and its paintings framed in blush. And there, Creon, she cut her throat. She's laid out now in one of those two old-fashioned twin beds, exactly where you went to her one night when she was still a maiden. Her smile is still the same, scarcely a touch more melancholy. And if it weren't for that great red blot on the bed linen near her neck, one might think she were asleep.
She, too. They all asleep. Must be good to sleep.
And now you're all alone, Creon.
Yes. All alone. Age, listen to me. They don't know it. But the truth is, the work is there to be done. And a man can't throw his arms and refuse to do it. They say it's dirty work. But if we didn't do it, who would? H. Of course you don't know. You'd be lucky if you never find out. In a hurry to grow up, aren't you? I should be happy. Never grow up. If you can help it. What time is it? 5 o'clock. What have we on at 5 o'clock? Cabinet meeting. Then we had better go out to it.
And there we are. It's quite true that if it weren't for Antigone, they would have all been at peace. But they are all at peace. Those who had to die have died. Those who believed one thing, those who believed the other, and even those who believed nothing at all, but were caught in the web without knowing why. All dead, stiff, useless, rotting. And those who survived will now quietly begin to forget the dead. They won't remember who was who or which was which. It's all over. Antigone is calm tonight, and we shall never know the name of the fever that consumed her. She has played her part. A great, melancholy wave of peace now settles down over Thebes, on the empty palace, and on Creon, who can now begin to wait for his own death. Only the guards are left, and this does not matter to them. It's no skin off their noses. They just go on playing cards. Wonderful, receptive, and such a warm audience. And those of you who would like to be on our mailing list would put their names down on that book there, hit that book. Names, addresses, phone, fax number, whatever. We can keep you notified of our future performances. Acknowledgements are in order. First of all, to the British Council and the British Deputy High Commission for inviting us to be a part of this historic event and for giving us the opportunity to perform here in this wonderful space, the NGMA, and for making us a part of this glorious, glorious event that they have organized. Also to the Maximum of Haemon for loaning us the 3 music stands. In the British Council, a very special thank you to Mr. Shahani, who has been liaising with us for the past month or so in putting up this event. Also, a very warm thank you to Mr. Sam Kerawala and Mr. Kaiwan Mistry, both theatre professionals who have helped arrange our lighting for us and made this place, made us look good for you. Also, another thank you to the NGMA security. They have stayed overtime on at least 4 days for us, and we are very grateful to them. And last but not the least, I would like to thank my cast. Most of them are theatre professionals, and they work for Play Reading Forum without pay, and they give a great deal of their time and their energy and their effort and their talent to presenting plays which are stage-worthy and which otherwise may not be staged in the city. It's my privilege and my duty to introduce each one of them to you in turn. Starting with Veera Abadaan, Ratan Batliwala, Devika Shahani, Aditya Hitkari, Gerson Cunha, Meherangiz Acharia, and last but not least, Zafar Karachiwala. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you.